making some wreath attachments for some wreaths that we have coming up. What we're going to do is we're going to take one of these half circles. These are 2.3 inches by 4.3 inches. And this again is that smooth foam. We're going to take another one of our sticks. Go ahead and place that in. This is actually going to be a witch's cauldron. So we're going to paint it black and we're going to glitter it black. So I just have some apple barrel black. Okay. And we'll use our Mod Podge again. And we'll use our sponge brush again. So these smooth ones definitely take less paint than the ones that are textured. Okay, in addition to that, we're going to use Thunderstruck. So remember, the links for all these are going to be in the description. These are from Wreath Decor by Dawn. These are all ultra fine. So when you're doing a project like this, the ultra fine is really the best. Okay, just going to paint it black. We're going to do both sides. See how having that stick in there really helps? Then you don't get as much paint on you as you do on your project. Okay. See how nice and smooth this goes on? Okay. There. Okay, so once we have it coated nicely, we're going to put our glitter on. Let me take off the shipping protection. Okay, this is a new one. All right. Then I'm going to start getting it on. Remember, it's okay to go heavy because you can get it back into the container. Okay. See how nice that goes on there? I love this because it's just black. It doesn't have a bunch of other colors in it, and this can be kind of hard to find. So she also has a white that doesn't have silver in it, which is really hard to find. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to put some really cute little foam balls up here at the top to make it look like it is bubbling over. Okay, so we're going to let this dry. And then we're going to get this back into its container. Alright, so just fold it up. And in it goes. So then you can see we had very little waste. And you can still pat it to get as much out as you want. So you can see there's virtually nothing left on this plate. And it's back in its container. So a lot of things have dried. And so we're going to kind of continue on. Now I coated this one really well because I did not want it, I want it to be shiny, but I don't want it to be shiny like this. So this is the cauldron. Okay, and so what we're going to do to make this look more like a cauldron is we're going to use our hands and we're going to compress the top and the bottom down. Okay, make it flatter. You can cut it, but I find that this works really well. You just kind of have to stick with it. You don't need a whole lot. Just enough so that it doesn't look completely round, like that. So that's the bottom. Okay, that's the top. All right, so I can put a little stick back in. So now it doesn't look quite like a round little circle. You can also tie things around it to try to get it, but usually just compressing it down will work. Okay. All right, so I wanted to make this into a cauldron, and I really want to put Hocus Pocus on it. So you can see I just found one of my favorite fonts and printed it out on a piece of paper. I have it in a little plastic bag. And so what I can do to get these words is I will take some of my Puffy paint to put the words. So I'll just trace the words. And I'm going to let it dry. And when it dries, I'll be able to pull it off and put it right onto my little cauldron. I find it better if I have a little something to use. It doesn't have to be perfect. I am not a great painter, so I find this a little easier. And it's still going to come out super cute. Just like that. So now I'm going to let this dry. And when it dries, I'll be able to peel it up and put it right on here. Okay, so we're going to set this aside so it'll dry and won't get messed up. I'm going to work on the top of this next. Okay, we'll be using some more of the Puffy paint. And we're going to be using some glue. I'm going to use black and, well, let's do blue and green maybe. We could even do a little purple. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of these little glittered styrofoam balls, and I'm going to put them up here like they're little bits of bubbles coming out from the cauldron. And I'll do maybe a few orange and green. And then I have some other colors over here. Now these white ones, I want to make little eyeballs on because that's going to look super cute. And I have these in all different sizes so that I can get kind of a mixture. This kind of helps it look a little bit just really cute. I have a little pink in here. So the wreath that I'm putting it on does have a little bit of pink on it. So I want to put a little pink in there. A few little sizes. I like this, so I have two different colors of oranges. This is kind of a copper color. I like these tiny ones as well. And I like to keep these in a bag because they will go everywhere. So we've got all different sizes. Okay, so we're going to take some of these white ones and we are going to make them into little eyeballs. And so you're going to need some sticks. Okay. This is mostly to help it dry. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my Puffy paint and I'm just going to do a circle on the top. You don't want it to be too big. And then just kind of tap it to get it to kind of settle out. Okay, and we're going to let this dry a little bit. So I'm just going to put it on a piece of styrofoam while it dries. We're going to do a few different colors. And what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll add in the black right in the center. Don't worry if it's a different shape, because there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, just kind of get them like this. Tap it a little bit. Okay, so those are going to dry. We can do the same thing with the smaller ones, but with the smaller ones, generally what I do is just go in with a little black. Just add a little black on there, like this. Just make a small little small little eyeball. Okay. Okay, with these we can do a little bit like this. Whoops, I went right through the top. If you do that, don't worry, it will be hidden by the puffy paint. Okay. Green. Just like that. And what we're going to do is come back and put just a little bit of black in the center. And then it'll look like eyeballs. Okay, so while those are drying, we're going to go ahead and start putting some of these on here. So when I made this, I flattened it out. It's very important that you flatten it out because it needs to have a flatter look and not a rounded look. So make sure you've really gotten and flattened it. Let's fix that little spot right there. Okay, I'm just going to fix that little spot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of glue on here, just a little dab, and then put my little ball on there. Okay. Just like this. Okay. I'm putting a little bit there and a little bit kind of on that ball as well. Okay. See, and what we'll do is we'll put a little bit here and here. Okay, and then we'll use some of our smaller pieces to come in here. This, and just kind of spill some down like this. Whoops. Okay. Just like that. Then we'll pile some of the eyes on the top, but we're just going to kind of go around and kind of do this. I want to do one at a time just because I don't want it to I don't want the glue to dry too fast. So I kind of work in small sections like this. Okay, kind of put some in front. This. There. Put some in front of this. Like that. So I want it to seem like it's bubbles kind of spilling out. Okay. Just like this. And so we're going to put some on top. Just like this. We'll have some of the eyeballs on here. That's going to look really cute. If I'm only going to do just a little black dot, I can go ahead and do that while it's on here. There. Just like that. Okay. I want a little bit kind of coming down this side here. There. There. Okay. I'm going to put just a couple little more kind of coming down this side. And then we're going to wait until our Hocus Pocus and our little eyeballs dry. Oh. And then we'll add those on. Okay. There. See how cute that is? Look how cute that is. You can see how with the little dots on it, it'll kind of look like eyeballs. Then we're going to put the Hocus Pocus across here. So we're going to set this up with the others and let it dry. Okay, so I've got them all drying on here. Okay, so everything is pretty much dried. So we're going to do the second half of the eyeballs and the little Hocus Pocus. And I will show you one more way to do the little eyeballs. I will show you one more way to do these eyeballs. If you want them to be perfect circles, then I'll show you a way to do that. I kind of like mine to be just a slight bit goofy just because of what I'm making, but it doesn't have to be that. And I also like the puffy paint because it does kind of have a little bit of texture to it. So it is going to kind of stand up on here. All right. And I can actually just take these. When I'm using the puffy paint, the first thing I do is I'm going to tap it and make sure that it's ready to come out. So you don't get so many bubbles. I'm going to put just a little pupil in the middle here. And for these that are a little bit longer, I'll put like a longer pupil. Just put a tiny one here. Tiny one there. Tiny one there. 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 And there. All right, now I do want to kind of help it settle a little bit. If it starts to fall off a little, having tools like this is great. You can just pick up any of the part that you don't want. So if it starts to fall off where you don't want it, just wipe it away. We can come back and fix anything. Okay, I'm going to kind of elongate this one a little. All right. This one kind of got on the white, but we can fix that. All right. All right, so if you want to do these, but you want the little circles and all of it to be perfect, or, you know, mostly perfect, what you can do is just get some of these little sponge brushes. And they come in various sizes, including pretty tiny. You would just take these, a little bit of your acrylic paint. Okay. You don't really need that much, it just came out fast. All right. So then what you do is you take your little, let's see, this might be too big for this one. Oh, maybe not. Let's see. You take it, you load a little bit off, then you put it on and just kind of move it back and forth, and you get a perfect circle. And then you would take a smaller one. These are about the same, I think. And you do that with the black. Okay, load a little bit off. Then put it right on top of the purple. Like that. You can either do this with the end or with a very tiny brush and just do a little white dot. That makes it look a little bit more like an eyeball. So we will do that with all of these as well. But this is a really easy way to do them. Let me find a stick for this one. Now this acrylic paint is going to dry a lot faster than the Puffy paint. So if you're looking for a way to do it a lot faster, then the acrylic paint is the way to go. Okay, so for this one that we messed up, we're just gonna fix that. Just cover over it. There we go. And then I will take my white and I will do 1 or 2 little drops on these. And that is going to give that more of an actual eyeball look. Okay, you just dab it on. Okay. See how it kind of gives it that eyeball look? Okay, just like that. So then we have our eyeballs. All right. I'm not too worried if I have a little bit of paint or something on the side because we're going to be stacking these on like we did with the others. Here's our words that we had gotten, and these should be dry. So I just want to carefully peel them off of the paper. You want to very lightly peel them up. Okay. So these are still a tiny bit tacky, but not wet. Okay. I want to lay them out and see where I want them to go. That's cute. Okay, kind of push them down a little. Okay. Now there's a couple of things you can do. You can glue this down, you can just seal over it, or you can push it down like this and just let it dry a little bit longer. And most of the time it will adhere. Because I'm doing this when it's still a little bit tacky. Okay, so what I usually do is I seal it on here. There we go. How stinking cute is that? And I wanted the letters to kind of look, you know, a little bit misshapen and almost like dripping down. Okay. So what I'll do, take a little bit of Mod Podge, and I'm just gonna go over it, seal it on. This will just dry. Clear, so that's what I like about the Mod Podge, is it's going to dry clear. And this will just protect the letters from getting damaged. Okay. Now I'll let it dry for a little while. Okay. There we go. Okay. You could put it in front of a fan if you want to speed it up a little, or a hair dryer. You want to be careful not to do any heat though, because it can kind of peel those little letters up, and we wouldn't want to do that. Okay. All right, so the other thing we could do is we could take some of this puffy paint in that same green and just kind of put it, we could even put some underneath here. Let's wipe up a little bit of this sealer here. Okay. Just a little bit. That. And then I want it to kind of drip down, so just like that. Like that. See, isn't that cute? Okay. All right, so we're going to let that dry. And then when we come back, we're going to add in the eyeballs that we just did. Okay, so the eyes have completely dried, so we're going to start to put them on our little Hocus Pocus. So you can see the Hocus Pocus turned out super cute. Look how cute those letters are. And they're not going to come up because we did seal it down, so it's going to stay on there. Now we can take our little eyeballs that we made and we can add them on and make this even cuter. So I'm going to take these off their little sticks. And I want you to see the difference. Okay, so this is with the puffy paint and this is with the sponges. So I like the way the sponges look very symmetrical, but I like the texture on the puffy paint. So either way, there's not a right or a wrong way. I also like mine to have different shapes, and so I like to do the puffy paint. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing something like this and I kind of want the eyes to look a little funny, then I'm going to use that puffy paint and I'm just going to let it do whatever it wants. If I want it to be more realistic, then I'm probably going to use the sponges. Either way works great. So one thing that I do want to point out, if you're working on things like this, no matter what your glue gun is, most glue guns, I won't say all glue guns, but most glue guns, they have the ability to change out the tips so that you can get smaller tips. So you can see here I have kind of an assortment of tips here. This goes with my Surebonder. I also can use it with this one as well. So this one allows things to be switched out. You can see that one has a super thin, this one has a super thin tip. This one is a little bit larger. So there are going to be times when you need a super thin tip. So instead of buying multiple glue guns, then what you do is you just buy a set of tips. So I'm just going to take and get some glue on the eyeballs. And I'm going to start placing them around. And I want to be able to see the eyeball. I'll put some in front, some in back. Now I have my heat gun on low because you don't want it to melt anything. You do have to press a little bit harder when you have the smaller tips, but it is worth it because you can really control how much and where the hot glue goes. Okay, let's put one over here. Look how cute that is. But a couple more. Oh, I like this one. Okay. How cute is that? I think I'll put one more right up here, and then I think that'll be it. Now, let's do this one. I want to get some purple in here because I didn't really have any of the purple foam. So I decided to do several of my eyes in the purple. There we go. How stinking cute is that? I love it. Okay, so we'll be putting this on a project, so be watching out for that.